So, everybody knows that the media is bad for society, right? I mean, the ongoing development of technological mediums such as television, mobile phones, computers, and other intricate devices seemingly accused to be overtaking our traditional ways of life. This shift in societal adaptations and norms have resulted in the majority becoming so dependent on the media that they are brainwashed to believe what is right, wrong, and more so, what is accepted. According to Glenn Sparks, this may also be referred to as a silver bullet effect, or in other words, the collective belief that media has an effect on people who consume it. This argument is one that dominates society. Children are being increasingly sexualized through various media forms, teenagers are becoming so dependent on social media that their social lives are deteriorating, mobile phones are substituting face-to-face communication, and video games cause violence. The ongoing debate of these topics is ever so complex, and conflicting opinions circulate throughout society, often supported by research and scientific study. But what is right and wrong? According to David Gauntlett in the publication titled 10 Things Wrong with the Media Effects Model, he discusses the mistake of looking at individual opinions rather than societies. Some psychologists argue that because an individual may be negatively affected by the media in a certain time within a certain circumstance, then removal of all media forms would be the most positive solution. On that note, studies which are supportive of this perspective, such as the Pain Fun study, will often seek to find correlations between the media and individual actions, rather than actual causations. A study conducted upon a serial killer in the late 1970s involved questioning the individual on what had caused him to engage in such brutal behaviour. His simple response pinpointed blame upon mass media, and in particular, pornography and violent material. But to what extent should we rely on the killer's own assessment of what caused his behaviour? Immediate psychiatric evaluation of the individual actually revealed that he was a highly disturbed child from the age of 3, so we shouldn't rely on self-reports. Furthermore, this brings me to society's argument that video games cause violence. Christopher Ferguson, a leading US researcher of video games, states that scientific evidence of video games is increasingly pointing away from harmful effects. He also confirms that past data was never consistent or valid enough to begin with. In a recent article published by the ABC, Ferguson describes how the best studies are being conducted in current times. Ones that take care to use well-validated clinical measures and ones that carefully consider other important risk factors. In fact, today's studies provide no support for claims that video games cause youth violence. As described in my case of the serial killer, current studies find that mental health problems are the main predictor of youth violence, not video games or television. Furthermore, in the current era in which video games are soaring in popularity, it can be noted that youth violence and violent crimes within industrialized countries are actually dramatically decreasing. In countries with historic trends of highly violent activities such as the US and UK, homicides, sexual assault, and acts of youth violence are taking a turn and becoming less prevalent. This isn't to say that video games are causing these reductions, but isn't it interesting how measures like these conflict against claims that video games are to blame? Another popular argument raised by those unsupportive of video games is that the result of such an increase in this technology has made us antisocial. Beliefs are that individual gamers lock themselves away in their rooms and spend hours on end fixed to the television screen and glued to their controllers. However, in recent studies conducted by the Interactive Games and Entertainment Association, results found that 70% of gamers actually enjoy playing with other people. So if anything, gaming has pro-social effects in society. Furthermore, an increase in multiplayer games such as COD, World of Warcraft, and actively engaging games including Just Dance encourage participation of 2 or more players. So what makes video games antisocial necessarily? If anything, they encourage competition, collaboration, and social interaction, things that reading a book might not promote. This brings me to my final and most strongest point in support of video games, and in particular, the types of video games that are being played. Past studies have argued that games containing violence, fighting, guns, swords, and death are the leading causes of youth violence in society, as they are the most popular. However, recent studies show that the most favoured games are actually puzzle and strategy games. Therefore, one could argue that video games actually provide convenient learning and resources into general knowledge. Without properly conducted studies, society is further underestimating the effect of video games. Just like any new craze of societal adaptation, a wave of moral panic will almost always occur. Anything that doesn't comply with traditional ways of life or threatens a group within society will inevitably raise concern. For this case, for example, video games can be classed as a moral panic. As a result of rapid technological development, video games are becoming extremely popular and threatening to those who simply make assumptions of their effects. Because youth are engaging in video gaming, and in some containing a high level of violence, we form these assuming links that they are damaging our well-being. But are video games really to blame, or is society too wound up in believing what past scientific studies have found, those that are inaccurate and seek to find correlations rather than causations?